1 week on, and I still can't believe it. New York City FC are the 2021 MLS Cup champions. I knew precious little about soccer when NYCFC were announced back in 2013. I knew that MLS existed and that the Red Bulls were our local team, but the Red Bulls never really made an effort to reach out and attract fans from within the city. A couple of ads with Thierry Henry reading off a teleprompter, and that was it. Besides, I was a baseball fan first and foremost. Yankees or bust since 2000, nothing else mattered as much. Sure, I celebrated the Giants' 2 Super Bowl wins, but I didn't follow the team day in and day out like I did the Yankees. However, when NYCFC arrived, I figured that it would be the last chance to get in on the ground level with a team in a major sport. New York already had 2 of everything, 3 hockey teams if you count the Devils, but only half of a soccer team. Being a fan of a sports team from day one is not something most New Yorkers can do anymore. The Yankees being involved sealed the deal for me. To this day, I wonder, if City Football Group had gotten involved with the Mets and the Wilpons, number 1, how much would they be regretting it right now? And number 2, would I have gone in as hard as I did? Thankfully, I'll never have to answer those questions. Over the next couple of years, I prepared in earnest. I tried to watch as many games of the 2014 World Cup as I could. Being unfamiliar with the practice of having kickoff at the stated time, as it is in literally every country except the United States, instead of having kickoff after the stated time, as it is in the United States, I missed Clint Dempsey's early goal against Ghana by a few seconds. I started watching the Premier League as well, naturally following Manchester City as they were our new sister club. But nothing I saw on TV could prepare me for opening day. Seeing Yankee Stadium with its baseball diamond covered by a soccer pitch was surreal. Seeing David Villa lead the team out, even more so. He might be persona non grata around the team right now, but someone who was basically football royalty at the time, coming over to a team created out of thin air and playing in front of me? Wow. When he scored that first goal, the stadium erupted. Had to be him, didn't it? It was the loudest I had heard the New York faithful up to that point, and that included Yankee Red Sox games. After they won, the team did a lap of honor to thank the fans, something I had never seen before because baseball players shake hands with themselves before disappearing into the locker room. As for me, I was so drunk that I wobbled out of the stadium and my friends accompanied me on the subway to the point where I was finally able to stand up straight again. It was an unforgettable afternoon. After the highs of opening day came the lows of the rest of the season. NYCFC would not win again for almost 3 months. When they finally did, the winning goal came while the broadcast was showing replays of the previous play, so no one had any idea what was going on. The Frank Lampard saga drove the fans nuts. Originally tipped to begin the season in New York, he decided to stay in England until the conclusion of the Premier League that year. When he finally did arrive, he did score plenty of goals when he was on the field and not on the physio's table. NYCFC wound up losing all 3 Hudson River derbies that year and missed the playoffs. Subsequent seasons were a mixed bag of good and bad. Arsenal legend Patrick Vieira was brought in to manage the club, and with the likes of him on the bench and with Villa, Lampard, and Andrea Pirlo on the field, there's no way we could lose, right? Then the Red Bull wedding happened. I sat through 6/7 of that. It remains the last time I have ever left a game early. Even then, I was still heckled lightly on the train home. That game, though, saw the debut of a certain Jack Harrison, who became the first player NYCFC developed to find success in Europe. Jack found his way to the Premier League with Leeds United, and his most recent game at the time of recording was a match against Manchester City where he went the full 90, but Leeds wound up losing by 7 goals to 0. Sorry, Jack. NYCFC promptly won the next derby by 2-0, a game that Justin and I saw in person. When Jack Harrison, yes, that Jack Harrison that I just spoke about, scored the first goal, the stadium went nuts. Justin found himself on the video board close to the end of the game, although he didn't notice. And after the full-time whistle blew, the party inside the stadium continued to the streets outside, which led to scenes like this. There was Frank Lampard's hat-trick against Tim Howard, the first hat-trick in club history, and his iconic game winner against DC United that year as well, only to be blasted out of the playoffs by Toronto FC by a score of 7-0. Then, there was the sub-freezing home opener and the Villa midfield chip of Andre Blake. There was the Villa hat-trick against Red Bulls, and the Tati hat-trick against Red Bulls, and the Mitrita hat-trick against Atlanta United, which I got to see in person. Oh, and there was the one time that Bernie Williams came to play the national anthem for us. Patrick Vieira left for a job in France, which eventually led him to Crystal Palace, where I think he should be quite really pleased with the job that he's doing. He was replaced by Dome Torrent, who himself left the club after a dispute regarding roster construction. I saw Eber light the league up in 2019, saw homegrown James Sands get called up to the US national team, and many, many Tinner booms. But there also were Open Cup losses to the Cosmos and Red Bulls, Ronald Matarrita's boneheaded challenge in the 2019 playoffs, and that penalty shootout against Orlando and Rodrigo Schlegel last year. And then there's the Yankee Stadium conundrum. Yankee Stadium is a decent temporary home. It has a grass field and is in a great location. The problem is, though, that it's been a temporary home for 7 years, longer than it should have been, with no end in sight. The temporary grass over the infield sometimes looks like it's made of paper, and it's a miracle that no one has been seriously injured out of the many players who have slipped on it and carved up large divots in the grass. The smallness of the pitch is supposedly not ideal for our style of play. The baseball nets, up to protect patrons from hard-hit foul balls, do not come down during the baseball season, which is an annoyance. A minor annoyance, to be fair, but an annoyance nonetheless. Some seats are far from the pitch or at awkward angles, and whenever the Yankees are home at the same time, NYCFC are forced to play somewhere else. Hartford, Connecticut, Citi Field in Queens, and yes, even Red Bull Arena in New Jersey. But when NYCFC can play at Yankee Stadium, they turn it into a fortress. All its quirks give it such a large home field advantage that they rarely lose there. It's not ideal, but it works. Even this season had its ups and downs. A big 5-0 home victory over FC Cincinnati was followed by striker Tati Castellanos losing his shooting boots from mid-May until the end of July, yet he still won the Golden Boot. An absolutely massive summer featuring wins over Orlando, Columbus, and New England, and a draw against Pumas of Mexico, even though we lost in the shootout, was followed by injuries and international call-ups hampering the team and a goalless drought lasting over 500 minutes. NYCFC failed to win a derby match all year for the first time since 2015. But then Gudi Torarinsson put in that free kick against Atlanta, and the boys never looked back. Losing 2 fan favorites in Alex Ring and Mata to trades hurt, as did losing Anton Tinnerholm and Keaton Parks to injury at a key point in the season. But Thiago Andrade had an iconic game winner against DC United, and Santiago Rodriguez and Talis Magno have shown that they can be key pieces for the future. The 2021 season, then, really was a microcosm of NYCFC's entire existence. No matter what happens, good or bad, on the pitch or off, work hard, stick together, and support each other, and good things will come. Sean Johnson and Maxime Chenot, when asked to describe the team in one word, both said family, and they're absolutely right. This group of players was the most together that it had ever been. No overpriced superstars coming over here for one last paycheck. No players who thought they were bigger than the club and better than the league. And a head coach who, under a lot of pressure from the fan base, said the right things and pushed the right buttons and inspired his team to win. And that extends to the fans and the staff of the club, too. Everything that we have gone through over the past 7 seasons has led up to this moment. New York City Football Club we all are, deserved champions.